canceled the surgery on the other hip. It's just been like a miracle for me, sincerely.
I've noticed a huge, tremendous change, physically and mentally.
If they could put a money value on what is being done here, it would be like a pill that was worth millions and millions of dollars. So people really need to think about that and take advantage of what's available here.
So there's something really profound that happens as we go through these processes, and playing with sitting Qigong or Neigong can really have a great impact on our Tai Chi experience. Now also the Unbendable Arm. At the end of this video I'll show you an example of the Unbendable Arm, and it's really quite an extraordinary part of, or kind of a core of the concept of Tai Chi. You'll see it. I don't want to over-explain it, but basically, when I try to keep my partner from bending my arm by tightening my muscles and resisting with muscles, which is how the world generally, does things, with force and effort and strain, I can't prevent him from bending my arm. But what you'll see in the next video is that when I relax and I let that pineal gland or that upper dantian or that crystal palace let go as I sink, and allow the energy to flow down through me into the earth, that's sinking in Tai Chi. But also, as that happens, it flows down through the shoulder, through the relaxed arm, out through the fingers, and through the walls. I get that vision of just my shoulder and arm being an empty vessel that the wind or the energy could just blow through. And then when he tries to bend it, he can't bend it. Try as he may, there's no way that he can bend it. In a moment, I'm going to tighten up my arm and try to keep him from bending my arm. Now what you're going to do, my elbow is going to be a fulcrum. So you're going to push down with this hand. Little safety tip here. You don't want to wrench it. I want to be able to keep doing this for years and years and years and years. So you want to ease into it. You're going to put a lot of pressure, but you're going to ease into it. You're not going to do that. I've had people do that before. So now, what you're going to do is you're going to simultaneously push down here and push up here. Now, if you don't push down here and you only push up there, then my arm will go up like this and it won't work. So you gotta, my elbow's got to be a fulcrum. You got to go down here and go up here. So I'm going to tighten up my arm. I'm going to try to resist you from doing it. Okay, go ahead and bend. Try to. Yeah, there you go. Not much problem there. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close my eyes and I'm going to open to that downpour of energy, just pouring right down through my open body like I'm a hollow reed, and it's just pouring right down through my feet and right down into the earth. And it's also pouring right down through my shoulder and down through my arm and down through my fingers and out through my fingers and through that wall and through all those walls over there in Shawnee, that part of Shawnee. And when I get a feeling like my shoulder and my arm are like a hollow reed or a hollow bamboo and the breeze is just blowing through it, then I'll give you a little nod and you can give it a try again. Not going anywhere, right? And I was pretty relaxed too.
Yeah.
Pretty relaxed. Okay, so now you'll all be able to do this. Now remember, the first time that you're trying to do it. Here to introduce you to sitting Qigong or Neigong energy work. And what I found helpful before we start is to talk about the concept of traditional Chinese medicine, which Tai Chi and Qigong have become a part of. Traditional Chinese medicine, it's really interesting when you look at it because hundreds of years ago they began to understand that we're made of energy. It's fascinating because if you talk to a physicist today, they'll tell you the same thing. But traditional Chinese medicine figured out that this energy field that we are, it could get constricted or tightened just from the normal daily stresses that we go through. But what they also found was that through a combination of breathing, visualization, and when you get to the moving Qigong and the Tai Chi, gentle movements, the combination of these things could get this energy field or energy being that we are to start to ungrip and unlock and allow space for this lightness or this life energy that's just waiting to expand through us in a healthful way. And so one of the things that I've found very helpful when I'm introducing people to Neigong energy work is to talk about some basic physics. And I was at a mind-body conference in Boulder, Colorado many years ago. And there was somebody speaking at the podium, and I wasn't really listening to her. I was moving to another room. But she stopped me in my tracks because she had introduced herself as a physicist, but she also taught meditation. And what she said that stopped me was she said that when we practice meditative experiences, that we often feel lighter when we're done. And that we tell ourselves that that's a hypnotic delusion. But she said, actually, as a physicist, she could tell you that that's when you're feeling the most real. And she gave us an example. She said that if you could take an atom out of anything in the universe, say out of your body, and you could somehow blow it up so that it would be large enough to see with the naked eye, the nucleus of that atom would only be the size of a BB, or a small pellet, on the 50-yard line of that football field. And the electrons going around it would be the size of dust motes 50 yards away in the end zone. So everything in between that BB on the 50-yard line and the dust motes in the end zone 50 yards away would be empty space or potential energy field. And she took it a step further so that we could see just how spacious we are. She said that if you could somehow get rid of all the empty space that we're made of and somehow smush all these subatomic particles together into one lump, okay, get this. She said the whole human race, the entirety of humanity, would only add up to one sugar cube. I know it's mind-blowing. And you can verify this. Just do a little research on your own and you'll see that what I'm saying is true. And so what she brought home to me was the reality of what I had been practicing in my Qigong and also to some extent through my Tai Chi. This concept of that we're energetic beings and there's space in us anytime we breathe and let go and allow space for that space to expand through us, or that lightness or that energy to expand through us. And this can have, multitudinous health benefits, but let's do it today just for fun. So the way to begin is with your feet flat on the floor and your hands comfortable on your lap. And knowing how spacious we are, it almost feels like the wind could just blow right through you. And that's the mood that we want for this experience. So again, with the tip of the tongue lightly touching the gums behind the top two front teeth, letting the breaths begin to just fill us like a wave from the abdomen all the way up through the chest. And on those sighing exhales, as the shoulders relax down and away from the neck, it's as though everything that we are could begin to let go of everything that we've held on to. Letting go of the day, the week, any plans that we might have later. So that with each releasing breath, our awareness gathers and falls deeper and deeper into the center of where we are, right here and right now. As we simply become aware of the breath, enjoying how it feels. And as we breathe and let go around the breaths become not only deeper, but at the same time more and more effortless. As though the breath were beginning to breathe you, as we just relax out of the way. And are being massaged by the rhythm of our own breathing. And as we go through this process, you don't have to sit still if you feel like fidgeting or stretching or rolling out your shoulders or yawning a lot. Just let all that come through. Let it be a loosening experience. A letting go on every level. And as we breathe and let go of our grip on ourselves, we begin to allow space for that lightness to permeate everything that we are. We don't make it happen, we just let go. This limitless, unfolding radiance is expanding through everything all the time. Just waiting for us to breathe and let go, so there's space for it to lift and light us. As we rise to a higher, more subtle vibratory rate. A feeling of just lightening up on ourselves, and the world all around us begins to permeate through everything that we are. And now the brain-mind begins to open to it. In Tai Chi, we call this the upper dantian, in the center of the brain or the skull. In Qigong, we call it the crystal palace. So as we let the mind, the very center of the mind, just sigh, let go of its hold, let go of trying to think or trying not to think, so that it can just unhinge and drift on this opening lightness. So as we let those breaths out, we literally think of the brain-mind sighing and letting go, to drift on that lightness. As the knowing awareness lifts and lights. Down through the sides of the head, the back of the skull. The base of the skull begins to let go. As it sighs, all that panic and fear stuff that we squeeze back there in the old brain begins to surrender itself into the safety of that opening lightness. As that old brain just sighs and lets go again and again. And the spine and the spinal fluid and all the miles and nerves through the body being soothed and coated by this liquid expanse. All those frayed nerve endings that can get rubbed so raw from the strains of the day, releasing their static loads into that permeant light. As the sensory awareness lifts and lights, it sighs. We let go of trying to feel or trying not to feel. And just open to whatever lilts through this lighted awareness. Throughout our being, as well as on up through the solar plexus, the nerve bundle in the upper abdomen, where we often squeeze a lot of nervous tension without even knowing it. So as we let that solar plexus just sag as it sighs. There's space for that lightness to permeate through the abdomen and the pelvic bowl. On up through the chest and the heart and the lungs. The lungs, the wings of inspiration begin to open, to lift and light. We don't make it happen, we just let it happen. That lightness is always there, just waiting for us to let go. The bronchial tree, the upper chest lightening up on itself. And the heart lighting. So that every breath we breathe in breathes in lighted oxygen that's carried with every beat of the heart through the circulatory, liquid, lymph and glandular systems. And with the liquid systems, the emotional awareness begins to lift and light. As we sigh and let go of our hold on emotional states, so that we can just open to whatever lilts through. And now with knowing, sensory, and emotional awareness lifted and lighted, we're just floating in this ocean of expanding radiance. Being lifted and buoyed upon it. Opened and lighted. And with each releasing breath, we can surrender everything we are to free fall into the arms of this endlessly expanding ocean of absolute safety and complete acceptance. There is nothing to measure up to here. Just breath and light and opening. Being soothed and nurtured by it. Held dearly. Now, if the mind gets tangled up in this, that, or the other thing, it didn't do anything wrong. It's just the nature of the mind. And actually, it's our psyche or our field actually beginning to let go of some of the tight tangles that are beginning to evaporate through us. But if we notice ourselves getting tightened up around some thought or some memory or some plan, not thinking of it as wrong or anything like that, just noticing where we feel it, how it feels, and then with each releasing breath, as we fill with that full breath, on those sighing exhales, just like every other part of our being and field, the mind too can sigh, unhinge, and drift on that opening radiance that we're. Good. And we can continue to float and drift in this silken radiance. Even as, when the time feels right, we can begin a very gradual, soft focusing on the floor. But don't feel like you have to do it right away or all at once. Just kind of touching into the internal rhythms. And letting ourselves be washed back little by little in waves that we don't necessarily control, that we just kind of ride upon. Assimilating and enjoying the transition. There's no rush. No rush at all. And by enjoying the transition, we invite these silken states back along with us. So even as we start to become more and more visual, little by little, not really looking at things or thinking about things in that analytical way, or that yang mind way, but rather continuing to open to that yin consciousness where we just experience our full field perception without trying to make sense of things or think about things in that way. Just opening to enjoy what it feels like to exist in this lightness that we are. The more we let go, the more light there is. Good. So I hope you enjoyed that little taste of Neigong or sitting Qigong energy meditation. And These are techniques that we can practice on a regular basis, daily, even a couple of times a day, just to kind of let go of our grip on life and again allow space for that lightness. Now, a big part of this is you notice that we began by thinking of, well, first of all, the field, just kind of letting go of our grip on the day to allow space for that lightness as we breathe and let go. But then the next thing that we did was we thought of the brain-mind letting go. And as I said, the brain-mind, the center of the mind, or the center of the brain, is the pineal gland. In Tai Chi, we refer to it as the upper dantian. In Qigong, the crystal palace. And that's a place where when we let go, when we allow that center of the mind to just kind of let go of its grip on life and let it kind of sigh and drift on that opening lightness. When that happens, several things happen. One is that the brain waves go from busy beta brainwave frequency to alpha or theta brain waves, and those are that restful meditative consciousness. And there's just a plethora of positive benefits that we get from that. But this is the core of Tai Chi if you practice Tai Chi. Because in Tai Chi, the physical core of Tai Chi is the sinking. It's when we let the body sink onto the vertical axis, down through the leg that we're filling, and everything just lets go. Now we feel that happen throughout our whole body. It's a full body or full field physical experience when we sink and let go. We kind of yield to gravity and sink onto the vertical axis. But what we often don't realize is that this starts from the pineal gland, or the upper dantian, or the crystal palace. And so that sighing, when we have the tip of the tongue touching the gums lightly up there behind the top two front teeth, we fill with that full breath. And then when we sink and sigh, everything lets go. And we let ourselves just sink. But it starts from the pineal gland, and then like falling dominoes, it echoes through the whole field of existence that we are. And it turns into that physical sinking that we talk about in Tai Chi. So practicing the Ne Gong, or the sitting energy work, gives us an opportunity to really get in there and feel what it feels like when our being, when our body, when our consciousness can let go right at that core point, that upper dantian, that crystal palace, and then feel what it feels like as that letting go just kind of emanates or radiates through our whole being. And so this will take our Tai Chi sinking to a whole different level and a whole different quality. And it'll also allow our Tai Chi to begin to become this loosening experience, where as we're going through it and we're practicing the breaths and the sighing, the letting go as we sink and flow through our movements, to let the movements flow through us as we let ourselves sink or flow through the different motions. And since Tai Chi long form replicates about 95% of the ways the body can move, when we're going through our Tai Chi forms, we're literally mimicking everything that we do in our lives, putting things on the shelf, shoveling snow, raking leaves, pushing a lawnmower. All these different things that we do in Tai Chi replicate the things that we do as we go through our daily activities. And so by incorporating that letting go of the pineal gland, or the upper dantian, or the crystal palace, as we flow or sink through our Tai Chi movements, what it does is it gives the Tai Chi becomes this microcosmic model that teaches us to practice breathing and letting go, and letting that pineal gland let go, so that we can relax into the things that we do and actually be in the moment, experiencing what it is that we're doing and enjoying the sensation of it, even when we're doing tasks and work, so that we don't feel rushed and driven all the time. And one of the things that they find is that Tai Chi, when people practice Tai Chi as a meditative experience, it actually improves math skills. It improves the speed and also the accuracy of our mathematics when we have to add or calculate or whatever. And so there's something really profound that happens as we go through these processes. And playing with sitting Qigong or Ne Gong can really have a great impact on our Tai Chi experience. What he'll notice, and you'll notice it in the video, was that he'll attest to it, is that I was very relaxed when he couldn't bend it. And so this kind of turns everything on its head. It changes the way that we see the whole world. And this unbendable arm, the crux of this is the pineal gland, or the upper dantian, or the crystal palace. And so again, the sitting Qigong, Neigong can help us practice letting go right at that central point of human consciousness, and then that sinking in our Tai Chi, or the flow of our Tai Chi movements, becomes much more powerful because there's a much deeper effortlessness, and it's much more pleasant and much more enjoyable as well. So I hope you enjoy that. One of the things that I wanted to mention was there's a possibility that I may do a video series that explores some of the ways to approach Tai Chi and Qigong that I've found make it much more accessible to the general public. For the last 25 years, I've been pioneering getting Tai Chi into society at all levels. So I've gotten it into public education at many different levels. I've gotten it into corporate wellness. Some of the largest corporations in the world have commissioned me to come in and teach. Really, it's stress management using Tai Chi and Qigong as a vehicle. And I also teach for major medical centers. I've taught through major medical centers all over the United States. But I currently teach for a major university medical hospital, and have classes that are offered for people dealing with a myriad of different health conditions. Now, I do still have a traditional Tai Chi program that I teach on the weekends and on Thursday evenings, but all my other classes have evolved into really a stress management using the core of Tai Chi and Qigong as the vehicle. So it's a kind of a whole new modern approach that I found is much more accessible to the general public. So we have about 150 people in our classes every week, and I never could have engaged that many people from the general public teaching the traditional way. It's just a long form is too cumbersome, it's too time consuming, most people can't stick with it. And so what they need, what people are looking for, is they're looking for some relief from their anxiety, from their depression, from their chronic pain, from different health issues that they're dealing with. And we found really dramatic benefits in this kind of modern, user-friendly approach to Tai Chi and Qigong that I've developed. And so I'm thinking about doing a video series of this that would be useful to anybody that's interested in Tai Chi and Qigong, but could also be a great tool for teachers who are looking for a way to expand their teaching into the mass public. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet. What I'm waiting to see is how much interest there is. So if you think you might be interested in this, you can email me at billdouglas@worldtaichiday.org. And if you email me, put in the subject line, interested in Tai Chi video series, or something like that. So it'll catch my attention. And if there's enough interest in this, then I may pursue it. But for now, you can enjoy this sitting Qigong, Neigong energy work experience, and do it regularly. If it made you feel good, make this part of your daily practice. And we always, in my Tai Chi for stress management Qigong classes, we always do a sitting Qigong energy work experience, sitting in chairs before we do anything else. It sets the stage so that when we get into the moving Qigong and the Tai Chi, everything just goes differently, and so it can be a great thing to include as part of the classes as well. This is a basic sitting Qigong or Neigong experience. I wanted to give you a flavor of it, but there's a myriad of these where you can begin to expand it through different processes, through the body, through the mind, and actually work with the energy field that we're a part of as well. And so all these things would become part of this video series that I'm going to possibly do. And the other thing is that what I've done through most of my hospital classes, actually all my classes except for the corporate classes as well, everything except for my standard Tai Chi and Qigong classes on the weekend and the Thursday night one, all my other classes, I teach a Tai Chi short form, which is very simple, very accessible. And so if you teach Tai Chi or practice Tai Chi, another form of Tai Chi, you don't have to use the short form that I would use in this program. I'm just going to use it as a teaching vehicle. You could actually adapt your own Tai Chi form, if you do a long form, to create a short form of your own using your own form. So the purpose of this video series, if I do it, isn't to compete with other Tai Chi styles or practices. It's to offer a different angle on how we can approach what it is that we're teaching or what it is that we're practicing already, so that it can become more of a mind-body mindfulness meditative experience that will give us the stress management that is so important in this fast-paced modern world, and that is really what is driving most people to Tai Chi and Qigong. It's either stress or it's health conditions that were caused by and aggravated by stress conditions is what's bringing most people's interest to Tai Chi and Qigong. And so that's the approach that I take. Now, why is stress such a big deal in the modern world? Well, it's really interesting when you look at it. Stress is actually the #1 cause of death and illness by far in the developed world. In fact, estimates are that between 60 and 90% of the health issues that are bringing people to physicians in the United States are caused by chronic unmanaged stress. And so the Tai Chi and Qigong have these profound stress management qualities if we kind of move and focus in that way. To bring out and flower those aspects of Tai Chi and Qigong, and that's how the video series, if I do it, will approach these things. But one of the big reasons that stress is such a huge, virtually an epidemic in the modern world, is that if you look at history, it took all of human history, tens of thousands of years of human history, thousands of generations, to get up to 2 billion people right after World War II. So right after World War II, there were 2 billion people. Now I was born about right after World War II. So when I was born, there were about 2 billion people on the planet. Since then, in my lifetime, just in one single generation, we've almost quadrupled the population of the planet. We're almost at 8 billion people now. So the ramifications of that are massive. Everything is changing. We all see how cities are getting bigger and bigger. Everything's getting more and more crowded. Freeways are getting wider and wider. We have to be conscious of conserving water and how we use energy and all these different things that we didn't have to deal with when I was young because there just weren't that many people on the planet. So this is putting us all through a lot of changes. Now, when you add on top of that the technological revolution, then you're really looking at enormous change that we're being put through. It's like the hardware that we get is almost out of date before we even get it out the door of the store where we bought it. And the software updates are coming constantly. And there was a Silicon Valley guru, I can't remember what his name was, but he had a great quote. He said, if you think that it's fast today, he said, you better enjoy today because this is as slow as it's ever going to get. And when you look into it, what you find is that the speed of technological change is doubling every 18 months. Every 18 months, it's doubling. Now, if you've ever done that calculation where if you took a penny on the first day of a month, and then the next day you doubled it, so it was 2 pennies, and then the next day it was 4 pennies, and so on and so forth, and you kept doing that. I think it was a penny, it might have been a dime. But anyway, if you kept doing that through the course of the whole month, by the end of the month you're a millionaire. And that's how fast, that's how big a doubling every 18 months is. And so the speed of change is just roaring like a tidal wave. And we can learn how to surf it by practicing mind-body meditative techniques. And if you already practice Tai Chi and Qigong, it can be very easy to adapt the Tai Chi and Qigong that you've done into a deeper, more meditative experience where you experience more of those alpha wave and theta waves that allow us to unload the static of our consciousness, and then you start to see your sleep coming faster to you when you lay your head down. We sleep deeper. The quality of sleep is better, and then just the myriad other benefits that you get from constant stress management. So again, you can email me at billdouglas@worldtaichiday.org with something along the lines of interested in Tai Chi video series, and then I'll add you to the list, and then if it comes to fruition, then I'll be able to get in touch with you and let you know so that you can participate. So I hope you enjoyed this experience, and enjoy the Unbendable Arm experience video that I'll include with this as well. So take care.